Okay, everybody, let's gather around the campfire. Okay, so is this even recording? Yes, it is. Okay, so we want to find the midpoint. I think we can all agree the midpoint is going to be somewhere around there, halfway between P and Q. But what are the actual coordinates, the exact coordinates? I'm glad you asked. Well, remember, we're looking for the middle between P and Q. And when I say, hey, what was the average score for our team this year? Well, if it's like soccer, then you might say, well, the low was 0, the high was 5 points for how many goals we scored. But you would probably just take all the scores that we got, all the goals we got, add them up, divide by how many add together, and that might be something like 2.7 or something. Who knows? And then that gives you the middle score. Okay. Well, let's do the same thing here. If we want the middle, we're going to say, well, the x coordinate of that point is going to be the middle of the two x values. Okay, add them up, divide by how many add together. Cool. And the y coordinate will be the middle of the y values, or the average of the y values. So this point here has coordinates 2, 1. And that's it. Find the midpoint is just finding the average of the x's and the average of the y's. Okay, so now let's talk about x and y intercepts. Okay, so x-intercepts are all found on the x-axis for whatever function you graph. And all those points on the x-axis all have one thing in common. They all have a y-coordinate equal to 0. So if you want to find x-intercepts, replace y with 0. Okay, so I'll replace the y with 0. And then I'll just solve, and it'll be crazy fun. So I got to multiply by the denominator because I don't want x down there. And guess what? Those cancel, and this becomes 0. It becomes 0 every time. So when you're looking for x-intercepts, the denominator has nothing to do with it, which is really nice. All right, we'll subtract 3, divide by 7, and we get -3/7. Okay, so there is the x-intercept. Cool. What about y-intercepts? Well, y-intercepts are on the y-axis. And what do they all have in common? Well, they all have an x-coordinate equal to 0. So if you want to know a y-intercept, if you want to find one, replace x with 0 so that you can solve for y. So I'll go to the function and place all the x's with 0. Yeah, just going to decorate it. Well, that's 0. That's 0. And I'm done. 3/5. Y equals 3/5. So if you graph this, it's going to hit the y-axis at height 3/5 and the x-axis at height at -3/7. That's all you do every time. Just plug 0 in for x for all the x's and solve. Plug 0 in for the y and solve, and that'll give you the x and y intercepts.